Welcome back to More Moss to the People. My name is Asa Nilsson, and I am your host. Today, I have a beautiful guest here with me, Alexis Yamokoski, and she's actually from, right now, she is in Pawleys Island, but she's from Asheville, North Carolina. Alexis, I have to ask you, is Pawleys Island in North Carolina?
Yes.
It is. Okay. Because I get confused between North and South.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Me too. That was a trick question. This is already hard, Asa. I don't know.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to make you sweat, but we'll say it's North Carolina, and then we'll have to do a
We're at the
fact check.
beach.
Yes, enjoy the
Yes.
beach. That's all
We're
that
at the
matters. Who cares?
beach.
That's
I know.
it. Oh God, 2 weeks with your family. What a joy. I mean,
Incredible.
I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation with me today on your vacation day.
Oh,
Well, your half vacation day, but
yeah.
but yes, welcome to More Moss to the People. I would love it if you would introduce yourself, take a minute here and tell the world who you are in the world today.
Oh, wow. Who am I in the world today? Well, I am Alexis Yamokoski.
Welcome.
In the world today, I am a mother and a sister and a cousin and a family member and a friend. That's where I am right now. We are very fortunate to be on a family reunion for 2 weeks
Mm.
with extended family from all over the country, and anywhere between 35 and 55 family members are here at a given time. So my role is family and friend right now. But who I am in the world and more globally is a woman that is seeking lightness.
Mm.
That is my word for the year, is lightness. I have been on a mission of finding peace,
Mm.
of connecting with my true self for probably about 10 years now, and really pushed that gas pedal forward about 3 years ago and said it was time for a reset. So, also, you shared that we live in Asheville, North Carolina. We previously were in Ohio and all my life. And I had felt a calling for a really long time to make a change. And there became a day when that change needed to propel forward. And it was
Yeah.
actually 3 years ago that we were at our family reunion. We
Okay.
stopped in Asheville on the drive down and shared with our family that we had found an apartment and we were going on a 6-month adventure. So we were the drama of the last family reunion. So
Oh, but I'm sure they were
everyone has gotten
happy.
used to it now. Yes, there was a lot of happy. There was a lot of, oh, really? You're leaving us? From the Ohio folks. But
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure.
yes, so my
Mm.
mantra really became focused on slowing down. So
Mm.
I shared with you last time we chatted. It was slow, grow,
Mhm.
flow, and now glow.
Yeah.
So we've gotten all the way through the path here, and it's a continuous journey, never
Woo.
ending.
I get chills every time I talk with you, which has not been a lot of times, but there's something super special about you that I
Oh,
feel like you draw me in with your honesty. And
oh, thank you.
I appreciate that. And that was, I mean, when you and I had chatted the first time, there was no intention. I mean, we were just getting to, who are you? Tell me who
Yeah.
you are. And you were sharing your story about your life and how you've gotten to this place in your life today and that you made such a bold and brave decision and courageous decision with your family to move to Asheville out of
Hmm.
seemingly nowhere, which of course there is no such thing.
Yes,
And
I agree.
yeah, I mean, we had a lot in, not, I don't want to say in common, but the viewpoint of, ooh, this is a time for a reset. The timing of our lives
Mm.
is pretty similar there as far as, yeah, this isn't working. I need to do a hard reset because
Yeah,
I don't feel good. I mean, it's not that it's not good. I'm not good. I do
yeah,
not like who I have become. I don't like how I feel. And I can change that. That was a beginning of a new choice.
yeah. Well, and for me, it was the ultimate. I do not feel good.
Mm.
It was in June, and I was with my daughter and her good friend in the back of the car, and we were driving through the mountains on our way to Asheville, going through to a beautiful lake, Lake Kiowee, that we were going to spend some time at, and I became overwhelmed, and I had a panic attack while I was driving the car,
Mm.
and it was the ultimate awakening. I think, there's the whispers, and then there's the
Yeah.
shout, and then there's
Yes.
the shove.
Yeah. Oh,
And it
yeah.
was the shove.
Oof.
So that was a Thursday or Friday, and I resigned from my job on a Monday.
Mm.
So, and it's not necessarily a reflection of the job. It was a reflection of me and
Hmm.
how I lived in my job
Yeah,
and lived in the identity of my career. And
exactly.
it was a lot, and it had been a lot for a long time. And
Hmm.
previously, it's that we're coming up on the 7-year anniversary of my mom's passing, and my dad passed not too long after that. I never really took that time to heal. So
Mm.
all of that energy was in me.
Mm.
And I needed the space,
Mm.
and it was bold and it was brave. In hindsight, now I can say it was very brave.
Mm.
At the time, it just needed to be done, and
Yeah.
there was the shove. And so we said, let's go and do this 6-month adventure.
Mm.
And I knew the 6-month adventure was for my husband and my daughter. I knew I wanted to be in Nashville. We
Yeah.
were going to bring him along.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, that we sometimes it needs to get real loud so that you can
Yeah.
hear it.
Well, the thankfully that shove, um, it for your sake, it was this kind of like it starts like with this little like hello, 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 pay
Yes.
attention, pay attention, pay attention. Okay, now I'm paying attention because now I am on the side of the road, driving on the mountain in the darkness, in the rain with my daughter and her
Yeah.
friend in the back seat. And it's um that is a place for jumping, right? This is like it reminds me immediately of the Fool card in the tarot,
Mm.
where you're like at a precipice of your life and you have a choice, and the choice is I either fly and make completely new decisions, or I will flop down and I'm going to hit the wall and it's going to be hard. And
Yeah.
and it may be a combination of all those things, because I believe that I certainly hit the proverbial wall too here. But it took years and years and years, because I only did self-reflection. I didn't get any help. I didn't have anybody. I mean, I had
Uh,
friends and things like that, but I didn't go get therapy. I didn't go and do all that. And I didn't even realize how bad it
yeah.
was, right? Until it like my nervous system was like on fire for 3 or 4 years after. It took that long for me to calm
Yeah.
down.
Oh, of
So
course.
it's
Yeah.
it's important work, and you also do this is what's so nice, is that you combine this in your career now too, and that
Yeah.
you are a believer and a follower, and you speak out loud and proud about this. And let's talk a little bit about change. You said to me that you like change. um
Yeah.
Tell me
I
what that means to you.
I have always had a growth mindset. And I think that in order to have growth, it has to feel uncomfortable. I've played golf since I was 10. And one of the lessons I learned early on from the teaching pros is that when you're making a change in your swing, it should feel really uncomfortable. So I learned that, as an adolescent, that change is going to be comfortable, but the outcome can be really outstanding.
Hmm.
And I think I'm the most in tune with listening and hearing the prompts around change. I have a great trust. I my I know that everything is going to work out. I have no doubt that everything is going to work out. So when something comes my way that looks like an obstacle, I reframe it immediately and I say, what is the opportunity here? What is
Mhm.
the bright spot? And I guess that's inevitably that's the change. I mean, every moment in time, like I recognize how temporary every moment in time is. And I was even thinking about this is my first time on a podcast, webcast. And I think it's because I've always thought about my opinion right now is so temporary. It
Mhm.
may be so different tomorrow.
Oh, sure, mine
But
too. Oh my god.
here I
Yeah.
am documenting my opinion now. And
Good.
yeah, exactly. And I was recognizing, well, that's a good thing. And it's also a good thing that it's going to be impacted and look different and feel different tomorrow.
Yes.
Who I am and grounding of who I am will stay the same. I mean,
Mm.
I feel very authentically connected to my true self,
Mm.
but I know that I believe in growth, and I believe growth comes with change.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I do too. And that the whole thing, the construct of time, which we talked about also before, was, it's who knows? We have no
Oh
idea.
my
We have
gosh.
no clue what we're going to think tomorrow because you know what? Tomorrow we're going to maybe be presented with more information that we didn't know before. And we're going to be around different people that maybe we had never met before. And they're going to share something with us that we're going to be like, oh my God, I've been like completely locked in my head and thinking that's the way it is. And you know what? Maybe it's not. And that
That's
I
right.
love. I love that kind
Me
of a
too.
conversation that just, I think it's Brene Brown, Dr. Brene Brown. And you are also a doctor, by the
Mhm.
way. She's a doctor. Um, and she says that, what is it? She has some kind of a show or something like that where she sits with two other people and she asks them, they have to try to convince one another of something other than what they already know. Like,
Yeah.
convince me, like, prove it to me or something like, I can't remember what it's called, but
Yeah.
I'm like, that's neat. And that's why I like not necessarily surrounding
Mm.
myself with people who are like me, or who
Yeah.
think like me, because then I find myself getting into the vacuum and I don't want to be around only people like myself. But I do love being around people with the growth mindset because it allows it gives permission to for everyone, I think, to kind of like unhinge like the pressure
Yeah.
valve, like almost like we don't have to produce, we don't have to show that we are going to be doing this and this and this and this in order for
Oh
you to
my
love
gosh.
me, in order for me to belong here with you.
I
No.
have
Oh, I
so
just got
much to
chills.
say.
Oh, tell me. I got chills right now. Please
Well, I
bring it
was
on.
thinking about how you like to hear new perspectives. Part of my own personal mission is as a social change agent, I want to inspire new perspectives and for
Mm,
myself and for others. I mean, that is absolutely part of my my personal being here.
mm, mm,
My background is in sociology and social psychology. I have my PhD, and I've always been fascinated by human behavior and what
me too.
influences human behavior. And I've shared with you, like, we get so caught up in these social constructs,
Mm.
and I see everything as a social construct. So it's like I want to defy it in the same way. And I know that there's
Hmm.
there's a different way of being and there's a different way of living.
Mm.
And
Always.
it was always. And one of my cousins actually shared with me the other day. She said, "Wow, you've really made your life about wellness." And I
Mm.
hadn't. You had connected the dots. She had connected the
Mm.
dots, but I hadn't. I was
Mm.
just sharing with her all my different passion projects and things I'm doing, and I was like, "Yeah, like this is
Mm.
about the fact that we get to live our best life every day, and it's
Mm.
going to look different every day,
Mhm.
and I want to help others achieve that."
Mm.
And my my passion has really as very achiever focused, very attainment focused, chasing, needing to have the trophy to show my worth.
Mhm.
I'm on the Enneagram. I'm the achiever, the
Mhm.
three, the high
Mhm.
achiever, and I've learned that I'm lovable without all of that.
Mm.
And I mean, that was really going to Asheville was a cleansing for me. It was
Yeah.
the getting rid of it all. We lived with each of us lived with two suitcases for almost a year, my husband, my daughter, and I.
Yeah.
And just I had my baseball cap on and my t-shirt and my skort, my daily Asheville skort. And
Was it a
I
culotte?
just yeah, it wasn't quite a cool out. I did have culottes in the day. Um, but it was a reset and me and identifying that
Mm.
at this time in my life, I'll back up. I've always advocated for the stakeholders within organizations. So whether that was the customer or the client, the end consumer. And in doing so, I believed so much in needing to enhance the employee experience. We needed
Mm.
to deliver, if we were going to deliver an outstanding client experience, we needed to deliver an outstanding employee experience. And I would fall on the sword repeatedly because that wasn't my role, that wasn't my responsibility. But in my last position, prior to the company that I'm with, Five to Flow, I was very empowered by my CEO to think more broadly about the stakeholder experience, including members of our community. And I was able to make an impact and really challenge folks to say that we can do this differently. We have an opportunity to improve every individual's experience
Yeah.
that the brand touches, that the lives that we touch. And when I had my great reassessment, when I resigned from my position and took some time, I recognized that this next phase is for me about reinventing and reimagining the employee experience. This is about organizational wellness. It's about individual wellness because
Mm.
I wasn't well. I wasn't well at
Right.
when I would come home from work, and my coming home from work was walking out of my office in my home because we were all in the lockdown,
Right.
and then that was spreading to my family. It spreads to the community. It spreads globally. I really believe we can all thrive. I really truly believe it is possible. We don't have to be miserable.
No.
We can just treat each other with, I feel like it's so simple. We just treat each other with kindness and care and compassion.
Mm.
And if you can do that, you can make a difference in individuals' lives on a daily basis. And my area of focus now is doing that for people within the workforce.
Mm. You, I want to touch on two things. First, I want to go back a skeeter here and talk about something that you said about when you moved to Asheville, you what I believe happens is we need quiet. We
Yes.
cannot think in the middle of it all, and that's also with all the things, all the people, all the stuff, all the belongings, all the and so when you moved and you all of a sudden had no belongings, you had 2 pieces of luggage and you're living in the beautiful mountains of Asheville, North Carolina, with the most important people in your life now that are remaining,
Mm,
um, you got quiet, and when
very.
in the stillness, you connected back to yourself, you reconnected back to source or whatever it is that you believe in.
Yes.
And it gave you the opportunity to see, right? Because everything I believe is a humongous mirror. Like we're all just looking into a mirror. Everybody we surround ourselves. If you piss me off, there's a reason you piss me off. It's probably because I'm doing the same exact thing that you do. That's why it's pissing me off,
Yeah.
because I see myself in you. And when I see people that bring me joy like you, it makes me happy because there's a remembering for it all. And you told to me my English is also I can't speak Swedish and I can't speak English anymore. You said to me that you grieved by yourself. Let's talk about that, because
Mm,
when your beautiful parents in one day, please share your
mhm.
story, what you had to do one day.
Yeah. So I guess it was probably about 7 years and a few months ago. On the same day, I signed up both my parents for hospice. And that sounds bad enough, but it was
Mm,
actually a little bit more complicated than that because I tricked my mom by having hospice come for my dad. And when hospice arrived, they went to my dad. He had had Parkinson's. He lived with Parkinson's for about 15 years, and he was at the end of his life. But they came over to me and said, "We're really here for your mom, aren't we?"
oh,
And they were.
mm,
And I just was at a point where I needed the support. I needed the help.
yeah,
We were only children. Very fortunate that 2 years prior, my parents had moved to be closer to us.
good,
So they actually were now in the same neighborhood. So what a blessing it was. We
right.
thought that they were moving so that we could help care for my father, but they were moving so we could help care for my mother first.
Mm,
And I've been reflecting a lot since you and I chatted earlier, last week. And her passing will be the 21st. So today's the 18th. And I've been
mm,
reflecting a lot about
mm,
that experience. And I think
yeah,
the timing is just how it's supposed to be.
yes, yes, of course.
Um, and
Mm,
so there was the words that keep coming back to me are shame and secrets.
mm,
So my mom was dying of her alcoholism. We
mm,
never talked about her alcoholism. And then here she was dying of her alcoholism, and we never talked about her dying.
mm,
The shame and the secret of
mm,
death
yeah,
continued to stay. And it was it was a very isolating experience. And we were
yeah,
caring for both of them in their home at the same time. And thank goodness for hospice. I One thing I do want people to hear is that engage hospice sooner rather than later. It does not need to be the last week of someone's life.
no,
They are there to help support us for months
mm,
prior to someone's passing. It's really when somebody has decided to no longer do treatment, and the doctor has declared that there's nothing curable at this point. That's
okay,
you can work with the doctor to do that. But they hospice is about all facets of our lives, not just the medical. That there is the physical, and by physical I mean the day before my mom went into more of a coma state. She We had a massage therapist from hospice come,
no,
and my mom, every for as long as I can remember, on Saturday she went and got a she had her routine. She went and got a massage. She went to the library and she went to the grocery store. She was an amazing gourmet cook.
oh, yum,
That was her thing. And then
yeah,
she came home and she read her cookbooks.
oh,
So being able to
mm,
give her that gift at the end of her life and
mm,
from hospice, And then there was also a pastor who played the guitar. My dad loved acoustic guitar. He played the acoustic guitar. So he would come to our home and play the guitar and
Beautiful.
sing. It was absolutely beautiful. And I just, again, like I feel like, gosh, we just carry the idea of death with such as like the secret that's happening in isolation. And
Yeah.
it's not.
Mm,
Energetically, we're all here, we're all connected. It, it's, it's a shame that it has, that people decide to carry it that way and then
yeah.
carry that burden with them.
Yeah.
And even for me, I didn't, I felt I was given such a gift by the company that I was working for at the time to be with my parents, to have that time off, that once once they passed, I was immediately back into work.
Yeah.
I shared that, the day after the celebration of my mom's life, I was at a new business pitch the next morning and on a flight that afternoon going
Yeah.
to do some market research and
Mm,
sitting on that plane going, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? But I
mm,
felt that responsibility
yeah.
to the organization that had taken care of me to then be back there. And I wasn't ready. I could barely remember my colleagues' names,
Yeah.
and I wasn't really sharing the depth of what I was experiencing at home. Because
Yeah.
how can you? I think that's the thing. We don't talk about it. So when you do talk, it's hard for others to process. It's hard to understand when I say I signed up both my parents for hospice at the same time, and my dad was dying in one room and my mom was dying in
Yeah.
the other. I was trying to get my dad out of his bed into the wheelchair to come and say goodbye to my mom.
Mm,
Oh,
God.
and I wasn't able to. We weren't able to. He couldn't process it. He was shutting down cognitively at the time. Um, yeah, it was a lot, but I also had some really incredible people in my life that were there with me. My husband
Mm,
helped. He really was the caretaker for my parents at the end of their lives as I was still trying to work and travel.
yeah.
And my best friend was there bringing my father his milkshakes. He didn't want to have much, but he did want those milkshakes. So
Yeah.
I had some of my really good friends would still come by and visit.
That's nice.
So I knew enough to be able to expand, but it's just, again, it can feel very isolating.
Hmm. I think that's probably also one of the major underlying factors why I want to have the conversation. I'm one person and having another conversation with you. And if someone is listening to this message today, then to know that it is okay. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to not know what to
Yes.
say. It's okay. Of course, we're not taught. Nobody is taught this conversation,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's like, what the hell? You're doing the best you can. And what I learned when my father was dying was that I had to be present because for some reason I knew that I couldn't run from this. And if I did run, it was only going to be me that was going to hold it because I couldn't then ever have the opportunity again to have this conversation. I'll never be able to say to him to his
Yes.
face in this lifetime that this is how I feel, this is what happened, this is what I think, and I'm grateful for you, I'm thankful for our life, and, to be able to the honoring for me, honoring of my
Yes.
father while he could still be able to take that in, that was an enormous thing, and so working with Swedish death cleaning, I mean, oh, talk about taboo. People like, I mean, they'll be like, "What do you mean death cleaning?" And it's like, "It's all right, it's all right." I mean, even people here in Sweden, I mean, it's a Swedish term. I mean, in Swedish, I mean, it actually
Yeah.
comes from here. It was coined here in Sweden, and people still, I mean, my mother today don't use that word, Asa. Don't say death cleaning
Wow.
because
Really?
the elders don't like it. The elders don't like it. And I'm like, well, I mean, it's just a conversation. It doesn't mean you're going to die just because you're preparing for something. All we're doing is we're starting to normalize. The more we talk about it, the more we
Yes.
normalize it. And that's for you, for your voice, I mean, for like just like the throat chakra and our bodies and our health and our stress and the retaining of the trauma of not speaking, our
Yeah.
shame. I mean, everything affects everything. And
Yes. 100%.
I'm so proud of you for the
Oh,
work
thank
that
you.
you did that, what would have happened to your mommy if you didn't call in hospice? I mean, we will never know. We'll
Yeah.
never know that. But you went through two of the hardest experiences that anybody could ever face, and that is the loss of a
Yeah.
parent, losing a parent, or
Yeah.
losing a child, or whatever. Losing anybody is just terrible. Grief is grief. Now you said to me something that was so like I hadn't really thought about it as far as being something in America, or I don't there is something like it here in Sweden, caregiver benefits. And
Yeah,
when you said that you were at some seminar or something, and they were
yeah,
talking about
conference.
maternity leave, paternity leave, and this was please share your story
Yeah,
about this because I thought it was so beautiful.
yeah. I was at a women's empowerment marketing conference,
Mm,
and I went to the side session that was about advocating for benefits, and we were focusing on maternity leave and paternity leave, parental leave, expanding. And I raised my hand and asked to have the mic because I mean, at this point, I think actually my mom and dad were still alive. I mean, I was still like at the very end of, I was traveling. Um, I think my mom probably passed away a couple of weeks later. And I became really overcome with emotion, but I wanted to share my story. And I said, I want to challenge us to think bigger. I want us to challenge us to think about the whole individual.
mm,
And especially for us women in the room, the current leaders for this generation of women that are coming up, we're part of the sandwich generation. We're
mhm,
caring for our children. My daughter is 5 at the time, and we're also caring for our parents. And no one's talking about that, the latter part. We're still just
mhm.
trying to get the basic benefits for the parental care, which are so
Right.
important, so critical, and I will
Yes.
always advocate.
Yes.
But I wanted to shed light of our whole selves, and I knew that
Mm,
there were other women in the room who were facing the same challenges. I just knew,
yeah.
and I became incredibly emotional. I could barely get my words out, but I did. But I had to basically pass the mic, and I ran to the bathroom and I closed the bathroom stall door. I don't know. I feel like maybe this happens to everybody once in their lifetime where they just have to go to the bathroom stall and break down. Right. It was just, woo, it was overcome. And the most beautiful thing happened. I felt like I had to have been in there for an hour. It was
Yeah.
probably 10 minutes,
Yeah.
but it felt like forever to me. And it was a bit of a cleansing, as I've mentioned this word cleansing
Mm,
before.
mm,
But I stepped out of the stall and I stepped out of the restroom, and there were 5 women waiting for me, who had just decided they were going to skip the next session and wait and see as long as it took for me to come out. And they gave me, each one of them gave me a big hug
mm,
and paused and looked at me and said, "Thank you for telling my story.
mm,
Thank you for sharing your story. And we're all here together. We're all in this together." I
mm.
mean, it was absolutely beautiful. And I think, that was one of those moments where, again, it's like, for me, advocating
Yes.
for others and bringing people's voices to the table was my
Mm,
voice, but I knew it was a voice of so many of the other women in the room. And they didn't feel, they shared they didn't feel so alone, because
yes.
here they were having that time while I was by
Yeah.
myself. They were having that time to talk with
Yes.
one another together.
Mm,
So it really inspired me to continue to speak my truth.
good. Thank God. Thank God,
Yeah.
because that the cycle, like the circle, like we were talking about, it's just we keep when we it's uncomfortable, that discomfort of the truth. Um, I have noticed in myself, like when I am with my podcast talking, I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm just talking to myself, especially if I am just here by myself talking into the camera. I feel especially alone. But but the ideas, what we're talking about of slowing down and going out into nature and reconnecting, more moss to the people is a real thing for me. I mean,
Yeah.
it actually can heal us. And this running and driving faster and pushing harder and making sure I work more and produce more for my employers so that I can burn myself out and they can keep earning money and then I'm going to be gone and then I'll be replaced in a matter of seconds. I mean, it's it isn't a part it doesn't work anymore. It isn't sustainable, and the cycle of I believe the circle of, sustainability of how can we help support one another, whether you're in corporate world or you're working by yourself or you're a stay-at-home mom or you're a stay-at-home dad or you're an elderly person getting ready for your final phase. I mean, whatever it is, whoever you are right now, you said something that there's nothing very serious happening here.
Uh,
And I loved that. Um, expound on that, if you would, for me, what that means for you.
I believe we're here to have experiences. We're here to especially experience emotion.
Mm.
And in the end, recognizing for me, it's all very temporary. And I do believe it's my responsibility to do the next joyful thing.
Mm.
Uh, and recognizing that there's nothing very serious happening here. The outcome is going to be the same no matter what.
Mm.
We're going to have different emotions along the way. But pausing, I think I share with you my word of the
Mm.
year is lightness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I used to think that life was really serious
Me
and
too.
I felt really heavy. And
Mm.
it's just not what I believe anymore. I feel very inspired to seek joy in every moment, and they can be really small and can be really big, but it's possible. And I think it's possible to feel joy and feel sad, feel heartache at the same time. I mean, we think that these two things can't be true, but they can completely be true.
Yes.
And I think, again, knowing the truth in that, knowing that I can be in grief and be experiencing trauma and still be having the joy of the love that I have with my family who's here.
Right.
So it is possible to live in both truths at the same time. Um, yeah, so I think that recognizing how temporary everything is and being in this moment, slowing down enough to be in this moment, that hence my slow, grow,
Mm.
flow.
Mm.
Um, I was so here, I'm here on this family trip. One of I guess my uncle-in-law, he's at the end of his life, and his doctor had shared he had a 50-50 chance if he came on this trip, a 50-50 chance of making it back to Colorado. And he said, that's a chance I'd like to take.
So there's a
I want to
chance I'm
be
going to have
here.
a good
So
time.
there's a chance. Either way,
That's right.
I'm very content, and we were very proud
Yes.
of Uncle Tom.
Oh,
So he's here with us,
good.
and I had shared
Mm.
some advice with his daughter, and it was interesting timing. I was sharing with her that I will be talking to you today,
Oh.
and she thanked me and she said some of the best advice you gave me was when I'm with my father. Because she's caretaking for him.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm with him, be with him,
Be there.
and put the guilt of work. There's no room for guilt.
No.
And when you're in work, work.
Yeah.
There's no room for guilt of not being with your father, because
Yeah.
you can't. It is possible to have two emotions at the same
Yeah.
time. It's not
Like you
possible to be
said.
in two places at the same
Right.
time.
Right.
So really being present in the moment of where we are is critical.
It is so true. And, really staying in the day. I've been
Oh
practicing this
yeah,
myself, staying in the moment, stay in the day also, carpe punctum. It doesn't even have to be carpe diem, be carpe punctum, seize this moment.
I
Because
love that.
when I get too ahead of myself, then, I'm off and running. My mind, just trust me, this
Yeah.
overthinker is gone. And I had this mentor for a while whom I loved. She's a beautiful woman. And she would say, all of my time is free time, because she would always be asked, well, how do you ever balance the counterbalance between work and life? And she's finally is like, you know what? There is no counterbalance. There is no balance. It's every moment of my life is mine. And I
Yes.
choose
The
what I
choice.
choose to do now. And that's it. What is the choice that you make? And that doesn't mean that we're crazy over like optimistic, like everything's like that, like Pollyanna, not like that. That's not what this is about. This is about if I have a choice, which I do, what will I choose? How will I
Yeah.
choose this moment to be? Because can I be like Uncle Joe, great Uncle Joe, 50-50 chance, right? We've all got this 50-50
Yeah.
chance.
At
Am
any
I,
moment
this
in
is,
time.
yeah, any moment in time. What do I want? What do I want?
Yeah.
What do I want to create here? And if that means we put a smile on somebody's face this moment, then beautiful. What a joy. What a joy.
Well, I
What a
had shared
gift.
with you in our last conversation about my fan. So I brought it
Yes,
with me
I was
today
going
to
to
show
ask
you.
you. Yeah. Oh, good.
Yes.
Explain that,
So I
please.
have
I
had
want,
my fan now for 3 years. It's a little more tattered, and some days I have to read both sides, some days I don't. But here is my statement of life is serious and I need to be serious. Now, if I just turn my fan over, I have a different response of there's nothing very serious happening here. Being lighter feels good.
being lighter feels good. It does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love
Let's
that.
see here.
Being
I have
lighter
some
feels
other.
good. Mhm.
So one of the things of having taken that time off when we got to Asheville, I had taking time off is selfish, right? Because
Hmm.
you're in your career and you're moving, and who are you to take the time off? And what are you doing with your family and how you're responsible? And so my rephrasing was, I share my gift of kindness and compassion with others every day. I lead with gratitude. Lauren, my daughter, is a direct reflection of all this good.
Mm,
So every day I had to read that over and over and over
mm,
again to remind myself that this investment that I'm making right now in this
mm.
reset
Yep,
is an investment in myself and in everyone around me,
absolutely.
in every life that we touch.
Absolutely, because, if we
Yeah,
think that we don't impact everybody around us, we are wrong. I mean, that's a
right.
flat out wrong. And
Yeah.
we have a responsibility to tend to self first. And many people think that is well, that sounds selfish. I got to take care of my family.
Yes.
I got to take care of my kids. I got to take care of my parents. No, you got to take care of you first because you cannot really 100%. It's the same thing with love. Like it's another version of love. If we don't show anybody who we really are, then how can we actually expect anybody to love us? It's not, it's
Exactly.
completely unfair. So, if I want to be the best that I can be, and I want you to love me, and I want you to respect me, and I want to have a good life, then that starts with me creating the love in myself and me seeing that what I create has a ripple effect in the entire world. No matter who, if it's on the podcast or if it's when I walk on the street or when I'm walking in the forest, if I meet somebody, can I look them in the eye and say, "Hi, how are you today? Good morning."
Exactly.
Yeah, it is so simple, and it can be so simple, and, life is.
Yeah. Well, and I had the beautiful confirmation from my daughter on Saturday. It was my 47th birthday, and she made me a
Happy
card. That's all I ever
birthday.
want. I just want, thank you. I just want a card with a note. And in it, she let me know that I was the best human and dog mom possible,
Okay.
which is a good
That's a
thing.
big
Yes,
honor, yeah.
that's a big one.
Mm,
But that she admires the way that I live my life, and that she
mm,
looks up to me.
mm,
For
there it
her to
is.
articulate that,
Mm.
yeah, she
As a
admires the way that I
13-year-old,
live my life. Yeah. So it's working. I'm
it's
proud of it.
working. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's
I don't, yeah. I don't want
beautiful.
her to carry that shame, the shame and the secrets.
No.
I'm stopping it. This is the generation
Yes.
for me that it's stopping in. There will not be shame and secrets. It's just, no,
We are the
she doesn't
chain
need to carry that.
breakers. Have you ever heard
We
that?
are,
I love
yes, of
that, the
course.
chain
Oh, yeah,
breakers. This stops now. The cycle stops with
exactly.
me. I don't have children, so I have 10 nieces and nephews. I've got 2 great nephews now and a great niece. And I mean, like, it's like everyone is watching you, whether you think they are or not. And how will I live my life? Will I live my life in alignment with who I am and what I stand for? My pillars, the pillars of peace, freedom,
Yeah,
and community, the 3 most important things to me. It is who I am, it is what I believe in. And if I do, when I start veering, I start wobbling outside of those pillars, it's so apparent. And I'm so out of sorts. And then it's my job to reel it
yeah,
back in, reground myself, get myself connected back to source, talk it through, get it out of me, right? This is a big part of me
yeah.
getting it out of me, getting my
Oh, it's
stories out,
beautiful.
sharing with
Yeah,
other people and hearing yours. And I feel my heart going like this, hearing
yeah.
your stories. And this is the gift. This is the gift. Hmm. Thank you.
I love that you, oh, absolutely. I love that you just shared your 3 pillars. I have my own three
What are
pillars. Then we
yours?
had our home. Mine are love, kindness, and respect.
Oh,
But in our
nice.
home,
Mm,
it was is kindness, respect, and honesty. And
mm,
since my daughter was a little girl, when a friend comes over, when they come in the door, they repeat back our family values. And it's always helped us be able to ground then in a conversation if there's some arguing or things happening or some non-behavior that we're not going to tolerate that day. We are able to come back and just sit down with each individual child and say, let's talk about the values that we learned and that we presented when you walked in the door. Is that in alignment with that?
mm.
Did you feel like you were talking to your sister with respect? So
Yeah.
I've always and I've brought that to my teammates as well.
Mm.
When I'm different organizations, having us defined beyond just the organizational values. What are our team
Yes,
values?
yes.
I really love that you have your own
Mm.
pillars. That's
Oh, for
fantastic.
sure. Oh, that's my North Star, right? And I
Yeah,
have to constantly remind myself, what is your North Star, Asa? Because mine may not be what Thomas's is. Just because we're
yeah,
now working together. I mean, he can have his own God, he's got his own world going on, but the pillars, those are the three foundations for our
Yes,
family and for how
exactly.
more moss to the people is established and how it will continue to be. And I admire people who are willing to have those conversations, especially with children, because I believe that kids they love respect, they love boundaries, they love all that when they have it.
It is so well received. I mean,
Hmm.
this is more Brad practicing when my daughter's friends were between 5 and 11,
Mm.
but it was never, they would, we would sit on I just imagine myself sitting on the stoop of the step with them and them looking at me as we're talking about it and them sitting and reflecting and saying, oh, yeah, oh, that doesn't feel good.
Mm.
Okay. And then, so what action are you going to take? Oh, I'm going to go apologize. Yeah. And what are you going to do next time? Well, I'm not going to do that,
I'm not gonna do
So,
that
I
again.
mean, it was just amazing the way that just it's so simple and how much it resonates with us at the
Hmm.
core, no matter what
Yeah,
our age is. We
yeah.
understand it as
Yes,
humans.
yes.
Yeah.
But it's also being clear, setting the clear
Yes.
expectations of welcome to our home. So glad you are here.
Yes.
These are the rules of the household,
Exactly.
and we expect everyone that walks into
Yes.
our home will treat you this way. You treat us, it'll be beautiful. Yeah,
That's exactly it.
I love that. Oh gosh. All right, we're talking
Me
here. I know we got
too.
to jump off this call here. You'll be here till next Thursday. Please tell me if you have anything on your heart that you would like to share with someone that just spontaneously that like, "Ooh, I just want to share this right now." Just
Yeah.
really quickly.
I have been wanting to share that I was inspired to reach out to you because of the title of the Swedish death cleaning and how important it is to me that we start having conversations sooner rather than later,
Mm.
and that we can have these conversations. We just need to bring love to the table and compassion. I know it's scary. It's scary for all of us. I mean, it's a lot of emotion that you're going to be navigating, but it's a gift to the person who is dying. It's a gift to the
Mhm.
persons who will be left behind. The day that I was able to schedule the massage for my mom, it was the last day that she was able to communicate. I couldn't be there because I was at the bank trying to get um, power of attorney over her bank accounts so that I could continue to pay their bills.
Yeah.
That was not where I wanted to be.
No.
And they had to hold up the speaker of the phone with her very weak voice, to be able
Mm.
to try to get that to happen. I don't, like regrets isn't a good term. I don't want to regret, but it brings sadness that that was not where I wanted to be. I
No.
didn't want to be sitting at the bank for hours trying to navigate that. I wanted to be with her.
Of course.
And if we had been able to do those things beforehand, that would have been a gift. And
Yes.
I want to encourage people to have these honest conversations. They're scary, but I know that you can get through it. We're there together to get through it. And I think that on the long term, it is so worth that hard conversation. And it's
Yes.
not one conversation; it's multiple
Mhm.
conversations, and it's definitely worth it. It's going to be uncomfortable, and that's okay. It's okay for us to feel that emotion as humans. It's okay
Me
to feel
too.
sadness. Yeah, do
Well,
it.
if right, I mean, if you don't feel discomfort having the conversation, that's interesting. But the being the person or having this conversation, people like, well, I mean, I'm not dying. I'm not old. Like, you don't have to be dying. You don't have to be old. I mean,
Exactly.
I don't consider myself to be dying. I mean, considerably old, but this is a conversation that I have been having since the probably year 2000. So 24 years I have been having the conversation around,
Mm,
having like a will done, having like all the power of attorneys, having like my final wishes written down because you don't know. We have no idea. I mean, with all the death that we have experienced in it, like around our families, in our families and friends and in the news. I mean, you see it all the time. It's like this isn't to be grim or morbid, it's to be prepared. And sometimes
mm,
just taking a day of your life and having an appointment with an attorney, just sitting down and having your thoughts, like just get it all out and have them do their job and do their work, and they'll do it beautifully. Trusting other people to help you, it takes such a load off. And all of a
Oh,
sudden, it releases like the brain to be able to take in all these other beautiful things that you haven't even been able to conceptualize because you've had it. It's been here anyway. It's always here. It's in there.
mhm.
So why not just sort it? Why not just talk about it? Get it with your family, talk to your mom, talk to your husband.
That's right.
It's good. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it because it's for somebody that I didn't even know before. I mean, now I feel like I should be like a proud sponsor of Five to Flow.
Well, you are, aren't you?
I am a proud
You
sponsor of
are.
Five to Flow. I mean, I love your slow, grow, flow, glow.
Glow,
Slow, grow, flow, glow.
glow.
Yeah, you have a beautiful, those are beautiful pillars right there too.
Oh, thank
Hmm.
you.
Thank you. Thank
Also,
you
this
for
is
your day.
amazing.
You are an
Oh, thank
amazing guest. I can't
you.
believe you've never been on a podcast before. You're a natural. I appreciate you sharing your heart, your stories. This for me is this fills my heart. This fills my life, these
Oh,
beautiful sharings. And I hope that you have a gorgeous rest of your vacation with your large extended family in
thank
Pawleigh
you.
Island, North or South Carolina. And
We're at the beach.
we're at the beach. Yes. Wherever you are, you're doing it well. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Alexis. I really
Oh, thank
appreciate
you.
you. Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
See you on the flip side.
Alrighty.
See you, honey. Bye bye.